Does a student or a fresh engineer really, or they actually need to care about these things in terms of clean code and scalability?
Absolutely. Because clean code, what is the meaning of clean code is that you make it understandable for yourself when you come back and revisit it after 6 months or let's say 3 months. If you're writing a code which you are not able to understand yourself after 3 months, then it is a mess.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Industry Experts Talk Session. So today we have Mr. Kausal with us, and he is the SVP and Head of Engineering at INDMoney, and he has worked with many big companies before as well, like GoIbibo, Make My Trip, and Intel. With years, or we can say a decades of experience, he has seen how technology has been evolving. So welcome, sir. It's been an honor and pleasure for us to have you here in School of Future Tech. And before we start with anything, we would want to know your journey by you, like how being a student and now you are leading, how did this whole process take place?
Yeah, firstly, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed being here. In terms of to where I am today, I think all of it boils down to step-by-step growth, right? Everyone just has a stage-wise manner. So whenever I was studying, I was essentially part of small hackathon projects, and then making sure that those projects actually work. And then those projects are the ones that really helped me in gaining the deep tech expertise. And subsequently, of course, I went into the leadership. And then while going the leadership way as well, it's always important to be hands-on and then solve the problems at hand. So being hands-on, has taken me, to where I am today.
Got it, sir. And is it something that you had already made it in your mind that, yeah, this is the field that I want to get into, this is the thing that I want to do? Did you have it already into you?
Yes or no. It's very difficult to say because I always had that I have to, go to, I have to be a go-to person, right? For some stuff, at least for a limited set of people. But at the same time, it was all of it is not something that happens intentionally. It also sometimes, multiple things click together. So yes, while the thought and intent was there, multiple things clicking together also allowed me to change some directions in the path.
So, did you get any motivation, or was it some your keen interest into some languages? What got you into this then?
So firstly, to tell the reason why I chose computer science is because of my uncle, who is who has been a serial entrepreneur and then multiple twice co-founder and then very successful person. He stays in the Bay Area, Sastri Maladi. I've grown by seeing him. Of course, he's there in the US, but he used to often visit my father and us. So I used to be very enthused with what he was doing. And one fine day when I was searching online, I was randomly searching online. I happened to browse. This was back in 2009-10. I happened to browse his name, and then I found wonderful things that he had actually achieved in his life, including some publications and everything else. That's when I thought, oh, choosing computer science was because I was motivated by him, but now I'm motivated by what he has achieved. That was so I since then tried to become a little more passionate about the technology world in general, and passionate about entrepreneurship, leadership, and see where I end up.
So, sir, you also had interaction with these first year, second year students, and you yourself have been a student of Triple IT Bangalore. So, have you seen any difference in these students? And if you take your time when you were in your second year, do you see any difference in, like the structure of these students, how they are now?
Uh, you know, of course, their life evolved. I think from the time I did my masters, I think now it's been about 12 years. So it's been quite a long time, and the outset of the students and the way your mindset gets impacted because of surroundings has also changed around us. So, for example, there is a lot of information that is available here for the students. While we used to have limited of it, we used to still have avenues, but we used to have professors whom we used to, run behind and then
Run behind, have some or the other information, grab something from them.
grab some information, grab some moments from them, and then even multiple subjects, any subjects that we would have taken, any courses that we would have taken, we would usually running behind people. But today, of course, they need still the guidance of physically the professors and everyone. But today, thanks to the technology and then advent of social media and multiple other technologies, Gen AI and everything else, people have access to information. So with this access to information, their outlook has been slightly better. They think a lot better. They think a lot in terms of what is something that I can do and what is something that I should not do. But of course, with all of this, there is always some guidance that is required. So without guidance, again, technology is double-edged sword. You can go either ways, right? So you would definitely want guidance, and I'm very happy with the way students were interacting with me today, and thoroughly enjoyed that.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, do you remember your very first job that you've done? So, what is that funny, or you can say unexpected problem that you might have faced, but it did help you a lot?
In one of the first jobs, obviously, when I was working with Intel, um, I was contributing to open source, which is the Linux system. So I was writing the device drivers for Android devices at that time for the Intel chips. So till then, I used to think writing code is all what it is, right? And then it gets merged, and then it gets released. But I realized that to get it merged there in the open source world, where there are hundreds of people, and then who's and who's of the Linux community are going to review your code and then give the comments. So suddenly it felt like, do I know anything? And once I also started getting through that, then I gave me a lot of confidence that, okay, now I also, because in my undergrad and masters, I learned how to do things. But also in the last 2-3 months or whatever time that I have coded in that open source project, I also learned things how not to be done. And that helped me even today. It helps me even till today. And then so that is one thing that really I really cherish in my life, where I have been able to contribute to Linux kernel, and that code still exists in the repository.
So, from writing code to actually leading tech students, or you can say having your own, group where you are a leader, how did this journey came into process? Like literally from writing your own codes to leading people, how did this take place?
It's an evolution process. For a long time I wanted to be an core technologist, an independent IC, if I may call it. And that's when one of my leaders in Go Vivo pushed me, said, Kausal, why don't you try? Why don't you try this? This was back in 2017-18. So, said, I know you're doing this, you can independently lead lots of stuff, but why don't you just try leadership? It might, and if it doesn't work, I'll be with you. You can always get back to your core being only the technical person. But I gave it a try. It worked for me. And then I thoroughly enjoyed mentoring people. I thoroughly enjoyed building teams. I thoroughly enjoyed building systems from scratch to very, very highly scalable systems. So yeah, that's been some journey altogether.
So right now, if you are given the choice, what would you choose? Still writing a code or leading people?
I still write code even now. So I think it is a leader can never be without writing code, or at least being hands-on involved with the systems. So what my take is that despite being a leader, you still need to be hands-on. You still need to solve the problems sitting with the teams, and that's what I do even today. Whenever there are any serious problems, any issues, I just go deep into the neck deep into the problems. And even any new systems being developed, I always go deep into understanding the architectures. And also sometimes I do write the basic contract bare bones so that people can evolve on top of that. That is because it just helps me to understand the most important components of my system very well, and that helps me to take the decisions of scalability and also how to evolve the system further.
Got it, sir. So when it comes to, giving advice to students or people, or you might be giving your advice to your members as well, team members as well. Many freshers get this advice that either focus on one thing, be it DSA or be it open sources or, just one particular language. What, according to you, should be actually done?
I think we should not just be focusing on one. We should just, while the depth is required on, let's say, I think you've talked about multiple streams. Let's say, should I be doing, just the programming, or should I be also contributing to open source? Both are related, right? So while I'm contributing to open source, I am also coding, right? So both are in a way that, both are two different things, but they're related things, right? So you can't just say that I will only do coding, but nothing else. Because in today's world, maybe it would have worked in 2005-10, but in today's world, you can never do only one thing which doesn't have any materialistic value to it, right? Either you need to, let's say even someone writing code in my company today, they are writing, why are they writing the code? They are writing the code because it directly corresponds to the revenue that we generate, right? So, and then similarly, if let's say someone is working in the college, someone is studying in the college, and their code may not be generating revenue, but it has to give something in return. If that is there, the motivation comes automatically. So the motivation comes when there is something. So let's say contributing to open source is something that is really motivating for someone at the college. Even if the code doesn't get merged, even if the fact that you have actually raised a pull request and then seen people come into it, and then people realize that you have done something and then respond to that, is itself a good achievement. And if you can have it merged, nothing like it. So in today's world, doing only one thing may not make sense. We need to do multiple things, because anything that we have, anything that we do should be associated with an ROI. And that ROI can be name, fame, contributions, anything. It depends on what people are passionate about.
We keep hearing about the scalability and clean code. I am not much sure about the technical languages, but does a student or a fresh engineer really, or they actually need to care about these things in terms of, clean code and scalability?
Absolutely. Because clean code, what is the meaning of clean code is that you make it understandable for yourself when you come back and revisit it after 6 months, or let's say 3 months. If you're writing a code which you are not able to understand yourself after 3 months, then it is a mess. We take umpteen number of decisions while doing coding, because interacting with databases, the library choices, framework choices, and everything else. So when you have all of that coming in, we need to have a base or a framework why we have done that. And then human brain, it's impossible to remember all of that. So you work on one project, you go to something else, and when something happens on the first project that you have worked on, and if you are not sure what happens, then it is bad. So what is the meaning of clean code is basically you need to understand yourself, and anyone, and not just you who writes the code, anyone who comes new to the system also should be able to read it and understand it and comprehend it, right? It's not like every code comes with a person who makes it understand. It has to be that people, some bit of knowledge transfer has to happen, but it should be that, okay, I follow the code and then I understand what it is. So, and then including the scalability part also there, right? So you can't first code and then later think of scale, right? You need to think both together. If you start just writing code in blind and then think that it will scale, and then when you have scalability problems, then you try to scale the systems, then you will end up rewriting the entire stuff. So what my ideology here is that, freshers or anyone who is writing code in the industry or even as part of hobby projects should think of scalability right at the time of writing the code, and clean code helps us to revisit it easier at a later point of time.
So, to become that great, be it a coder, be it an engineer, or what kind of habits one should actually adopt in themselves?
Yeah, I mean, one habit is to be able to comment the code well.
Okay.
And second thing that we should think of is instrumentation, which means how much time is my code actually taking. So if you don't instrument, if you have no knowledge of how much time that my code is taking, it crashes at scale, right? So I think, and apart from this, what we can definitely have is an openness towards technical stack. Choosing the right technical stack, whether it is language or database or anything, any other part of the tech stack, what is the right combination of these that will solve a particular problem is something that keeps changing with time and with the problem statement as it evolves. We should be open to changing and adapting to those.
Got it, sir. You have worked in startups as well. Now you are in one of the good companies as well. If there is a fresher who is given a choice of, starting their very first step, should they join in through a startup or should they actually directly get into a company?
I mean, it depends on individual choice, what they want to do. There are two schools of thoughts here. That I get into a startup to learn fast and grow fast. And with that, what happens is that you end up taking a little more ownership on yourself. So with ownership comes great responsibility, right? And we need to deliver with that responsibility. So so some people want to do that. Some people want to not do that. So it all depends on individual choices. Some people, there are many, and people on both the realms of the world are successful in their own rights, right? So people who join a big company, tech giant, would also be happy in their lives, achieving some great stuff. And people who are in startup also would be achieving. But but it all depends on what they want to do in their lives. So there is no one right answer here.
Got it, sir. If you, after, your graduation, you as a fresher, what would you choose then?
I think, in today's world, if I'm in my shoes and in my place, let's say 10, 12 years back, I would probably do a startup. I'll probably join a startup. The reason being, today, sometimes I feel a little envied with the kind of problem statements that freshers in my team and everyone else are solving today, which I also had good opportunities to do. But I think if in comparison, there are more opportunities and then more responsibility that these guys are thrown at today than let's say if I were to than let's say what I have done in with the journey of starting off with a big company like Intel, right? So given a choice, I would want to work with a startup and start it all off. But again, the amount of knowledge that I had gained working with a bigger company, that also is something that it's something that I can't put in words, right? So in startups, especially when person is starting their job through a startup, we need to ensure that there is a very good mentorship along with that person, Otherwise, it ends up being a disaster in many ways because a lot of ownership comes into the picture. He or she thinks that whatever he or she is doing is all right. And at some point of time, when they go to a leadership role, they end up taking wrong decisions. So when there is a good amount of mentorship, then it is always good. And if given a good mentorship, I would always go to a startup to start with.
So you might be hiring many fresh grads from different of different engineering levels, right? So what is that one mistake most of the fresh people make in terms of be it any during the time of interview?
I think one common thing that I've observed is turning into the solutioning faster, trying to code first, then think of multiple permutations and combinations of solving a problem and the challenges that can come with the solution. And I also feel that people give up easily. These are the two things that I often feel are some things that take away a candidate off from the interview experience.
So is it like they feel that, okay, if not this, then maybe I'll get a different new opportunity, hence they give up?
Possible, but what I feel there is that once you are stuck into problem solving thing, and then you're not able to catch the hints that the interviewer is giving you, then you feel like, okay, I'm not able to do that. Two things. One, you said, okay, ठीक है, इसमें नहीं है तो I'll do something else. If not this, I'll do something else. Or the other thing is, okay, I'm not able to get this. ठीक है, let me again go back to my board and then try, learn, and come back again. So there are both these kind of candidates that I've come across. But yeah, giving up is something that is not good.
Got it. So next thing is you might have worked with many different age group of people as well. So what is that one particular thing that you might have noticed in the very fresh ones and the ones who have at least an experience of 10 years or 15 years in their work style? So not in terms of like, experience for their work, as in, some task or something, not in that terms, but it can be work culture. So what is that kind of difference you might have seen? Okay, these people and this set of people, they have different thought process when it comes to work cultures or, listening to the leaders. It can be any small point.
I think ownership is one thing. So what a lot of people who thrive in startups versus who might not is the ownership, right? Coding everyone does. But once you code and once you take the things to production, let's say instrumenting it and then finding out how much response time it is taking and how it is impacting my infrastructure, how much is the overall impact of its cost in terms of the overall ecosystem, and what are all the bugs that are coming out of it, and then what are all the things that that person is doing to ensure that those bugs are resolved immediately. So this entire thing is a package. So everyone thinks that, okay, once I ship, my job is done. But the ownership is what is very important, and then ownership is just doing all of this together.
Got it. So, there is also one more thing that I wanted to know. How do you keep yourself very much updated on all these things? And being a leader, how do you make sure that your team members are also, up to date with what is actually going on with the trends?
Yeah, I mean, today's world, you have lots of avenues to get the information.
Yeah.
Right. So, you can always subscribe to, the lots of engineering blog pages, right? And, there is social media. You can subscribe to pages on all the social media platforms. You can basically, have, some alerts that you can put whenever someone actually puts any content, there is this GenAI helps you create a software. And then whenever any content comes for, just throw it to me. So how I have been able to do, and then what I would suggest to my team members also is that instead of going for a pull based information retrieval, have a push based information retrieval. So let you get bombarded with 10 different articles in a day. At least you will find time to read a couple of them.
Right.
Instead, if it is a pull-based approach, then there is always perception that, okay, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, right? So the procrastination comes if there is a pull-based thing. So if it is push-based, at least there is some guilt in that, oh, so many things are coming, I'm just not reading. Okay, let me spend 15 minutes reading this article.
Yeah. That's so nice, actually. I mean, if I take my daily routine into consideration, I have these things, some of the other updates that I need to read or I need to give my attention on. But again, that goes on, ki, okay, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. But when you get bombarded with all these things, and it's like, okay, I should at least give my 10 minutes. 10 minutes is really required. That is really good, so. Next thing, it's kind of a rapid fire round. We can take it. If you weren't into tech side, then what would you be doing now?
Maybe playing violin.
Wow, is that something kind of a habit of yours?
I'm still a student of Carnatic violin, and I'm learning from Guru Sri H.K. Venkatram. He is also into the industry. He is an industry veteran as well, 30 years in the industry, and then he is also top violinist in the in the country. So I learned from him. But if there is one regret in my life, I've not been able to do justice to his time that he gives me. So maybe if I was not doing tech, I would be doing that.
Wow, so. And like how many years has it been you are like learning?
I've been learning for about 9-10 years now,
Wow.
but I don't stand anywhere closer to that number.
What's your go-to debugging ritual?
Always the APM monitoring, right? First thing that I do is just go and check the APMs, go check the matrices, then figure out what's going wrong at a high level, then go deep into any of the codes and to figure out what is happening. APM, application performance management.
Any one coding habit that you think almost everyone should be having it?
Ownership.
Ownership.
Yeah.
Perfect. Are you a tea person, coffee person, or a energy drink person?
None of the above.
None of the above. Okay. And any piece of advice that you would give to these students for as a fresher as they're going forward?
Yeah, I think one thing I wanted to tell is the first few years are the most important years to learn in depth and increase their breadth as much as possible. The moment they start getting into a bit of, let's say, mentorship and leadership roles, they don't get so much of time to learn. So today, whatever I'm able to deliver is a result of the time that I've spent in the first 3-4 years of my career. And then later you can build on that. But the first 3-4 years is the most important time that people should really spend on qualitatively learning a lot of stuff.
And is there anything that you like doing other than your work? So, just to keep your mind away from the work still.
Sometimes I cook.
Okay.
Yeah, apart from my violin, I cook.
Any advice that you would have given to your younger self?
I would have given my younger self to be a little more ungiving up attitude and try things a little better, to have been a little better version of myself. So in every stage of life, being better than what I was, what I have been.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It was actually a good, insightful, and honestly, I had a really great time talking with you. So thanks a lot.
Same here, pleasure is mine. Thanks for hosting me.
Thank you so much.